Hi everyone, today's challenge is really a postural challenge to help you with opening up tight hips, which we all tend to have because we do a lot of sitting down, and to get rid of any issues with tight shoulders and neck from looking at screens all day, sitting hunched over a keyboard and so forth. So just to really work on all the things that we all suffer from because we sit down too much. So see what you think of it and let me know. So we're going to start on the floor. I need the list and I need the dog off the mat. Go on, go in your bed. Go in your bed. So let's start down on the floor, and we're going to start with some hip opening stretches. And the first one we are going to do is something that yoga and Pilates instructors may have done with you before, which is the happy baby pose. So obviously take these things very steady to start with and just gradually sort of move into them and go with them. But with happy baby pose, you want to bring your knees up towards your chest, and you're going to take your elbows inside your knees and your hands on the outside of your feet. So you're in this position here. Now, as I say, don't pull or bring your knees too far back to start with. Just get into that position to start with. So your hands are on the outside of your feet, your elbows are just on the inside of your knees here. And you may find that you can feel this more on one side than the other already, which isn't unusual for people to be tighter on one side than the other. And in this position, you can just play with it a little bit. So you can extend one leg a little bit, which you'll find that you get a nice stretch through the hamstring on the leg that you're extending, and the other one do the same the other way. And just really do what do what feels good. It might not feel particularly good in this position if you're particularly tight on your hips. I've got a bit of an issue going on in my right hip at the moment. So this is really getting to some of the tight areas in my hip. Once you've been in here for a little while, you can just put a little bit more pressure. So just bend the knees back a little bit more and open the feet up so your shins are sort of vertical and the knees are nice and wide. And again, you can extend one leg, you can extend the other, you can extend both together to get that stretch through hamstrings as well as opening up through the hips. You can bend the knees and just open up through the hips by just pushing out with the arms here. So just in that position, just playing with it a little bit, find what feels good for you, find what feels tight, find what needs working with, and you can really stay in this position for as long as you like. But what I would suggest is that you take a good 20 to 30 seconds just being very gentle with it before you start, and then you can be here for a minute or two finding what feels good for you. Okay, so happy baby pose is the first thing for opening up through those hips. Second one is what I describe as a frog stretch. You're going to get up on all fours and then take your knees wide with your shins parallel to each other and your toes turned out. So toes facing side to side, shins parallel to each other on the knees there. And then if you drop down onto your forearms, that should be reasonably comfortable there unless you are particularly tight through those hips. But what you want to now do is just move the bottom back. So pushing your bottom back, and there you should start to feel it through those hips. So again, we're not wanting to be really vicious and violent with this to start with. We're just going to take it nice and steady. So just pushing the bottom back nice and gently. Remember, I think I've said this before, but remember that it is important to take things gently with stretches. If you overstretch too quickly, too soon, the muscles will just go, oh, I'm going to snap if you do that, and they'll sort of resist it and actually pull against you. So just easing into these things slowly. And if after 15 or 20 seconds you find that that stretch has eased a little bit, then you can just push a little bit further. So just pushing the bottom back to extend through those hips. Okay, so again, you can be in that position for as long as you feel you need it. So obviously, if these things are feeling really uncomfortable, then actually you need to do these stretches more, but you might choose not to do them 5 minutes the first day, but maybe just get into the stretch and give yourself 20 to 30 seconds in that position the first day and gradually build up on it. Or you may find that after the first 20 to 30 seconds, that stretch eases off and you can just push it a little bit further or just hold it for a little bit longer. Okay, the next stretch you can do is going into a wide squat. Now for this, you probably want to hold on to something, and it needs to be something that's fairly firm and fixed, because what we're going to try and do is drop into a nice low squat. So I'm just going to hold on to the edge of this blanket box, and you should be able to drop on flat feet with your knees wide and your toes wide into a wide squat here. If you don't do a lot of yoga and if you're tight, you'll struggle to actually keep your heels down in this position. So this is a really good way to just work a little bit, again, on opening through those hips and through the mobility of your ankles. You can sway one way and the other. In fact, you can come up onto a toe each way, so you can sway side to side and just be opening through those knees by coming up onto, opening up through those hips by coming up onto your toes each way, or you can stay on your heels and just move the knees out and in as you move side to side. And gradually you'll find that it becomes a little bit easier to drop into that wide low squat. So again, just staying here as long as it's comfortable and working by rocking side to side in that position. But what you may find is that it's not only your hips that are tight in that position, it may well be your ankles. So we can do some ankle mobility by coming down on one knee and one foot. And if you just hold your foot here, because what we're going to try and do is keep the heel down, so you can hold the heel and the toe, and you're just going to push forwards through that ankle. The tendency is if you're not holding on for the heel to lift, so just hold on to the ankle and try and push through, and you're really pushing that knee forward. Release it and then go again. So foot going straight forward, just release it and then push again. So you're really trying to sort of anchor the heel onto the ground, and I think just holding onto the foot like this just makes you more aware of that position and makes sure that the whole weight of the foot is through the whole foot as you bring the knee forward. So really working on the mobility and the flexibility of those ankles. And obviously the more flexible your ankles are, the easier it is to get into that low squat, and also the easier it is to do squats. Generally, people who tend to wear heels a lot have quite short calves, and their ankles tend to want, or their toes want to be sort of pointing down all the time because that's where they're used to being. So the flexibility of ankles is reduced in that situation. And I mean, that's a sort of extreme. But if you are tight through the calves and tight through the ankles, then it's hard to just do a squat, maintaining that weight through your heels. So just working on that ankle mobility. Okay. We can then do a stretch involving a band, preferably, a piece of TheraBand if you have one, like this, or you can use a pair of tights, as long as it's got a bit of stretching, or you can use some sort of t-shirt that again has some stretching. And we're just going to work a little bit on shoulders and activating the muscles of the rotator cuff in order that we can sort of relieve the tension that might build up from being on Zoom all the time or on our computers a lot. So you're just going to hold whatever you've got that's stretchy out in front of you. Probably 1.5 to 2 times shoulder width here. And then you're just going to keep shoulders away from ears. So thinking of all those instructions I've given you before, drawing in through belly button, shortening that distance between the sternum and the pubic bone. You can do this standing up, you can do it kneeling, wherever you're most comfortable. Shoulders back and down, and squeezing those shoulder blades together. And you're then just going to pull with the arms almost straight, elbow soft, just pull against the resistance of that t-shirt or band or pair of tights. So you're just pulling outwards there. So you can do it with the arms parallel to the floor. You can take a diagonal movement, and again just squeezing the shoulders back and down away from the ears and just pulling it against the t-shirt. Same the other way, pulling back, pulling out against the t-shirt and squeezing back and down with the shoulder blades. Thinking about that core still, so don't allow the back to arch, keeping that nice posture, keeping the neck nice and long, so as though someone's pulling you up through the crown of the head. So you've got 3 directions you can do that in. Literally just pulling against the elasticity of the band or the t-shirt, whatever it is, while really maintaining that low shoulders, squeezing through the shoulder blades. And what that will do is it will activate all the little supportive postural muscles in the shoulder, and potentially, in doing that, release any tension through the neck. So that's your second, whatever, 4th exercise. 5th exercise. We've done wide squats, we've done frog squat, frog stretch, we've done the happy baby lying on your back, we've done ankle mobility, and we've done shoulder shoulder activation. Now the other thing you can do here in that same position is just lift up and over. Now I haven't quite got enough length in here to get over like that, but if I've got a pair of tights, I can go up and over. And I can then reduce the distance between my hands a little bit and go up and over again. So there's always that point at which it becomes impossible. And again, you're trying to maintain that nice neutral position through the spine as you do this. So keeping nice and strong through core and just taking that up and over. Lots of people with age and with jobs and with sitting at the computer just get to a point where arms are here and they just won't go up and over. So just doing that, and again, you can just put a little bit of tension through the elasticated item that you're using, a little bit of tension through it as you go up and over. Okay, we can then use something like this again to do a hamstring stretch. So whatever you're using, put it around the sole of one foot. Other knee is bent on the with the foot on the floor. Straight leg here. And you're then going to give the weight of the leg to that band. So my leg is now relaxed because I've got it with this band. Yeah, try not to support the leg by tensing the muscles. So then you're going to lift that relaxed straight leg using the band to a point of pleasant stretch here. Now I am quite tight. So some of you will be able to go higher than this. The ideal is that you should be able to get past vertical. So I need to work harder on these. Once you've found that position of pleasant stretch, you hold it there, and it's about 15 seconds until that stretch will ease off a little bit. What I then want you to do is to take a nice deep breath in through nose. And as you exhale, you can then draw the leg in a little bit further, and you'll find that it will go 1 or 2 inches further until that stretch re-engages. And then you're going to hold it again like this. If you find that the leg starts to shake or it's agony, just release the pressure a little bit, because we don't want complete agony, we don't want it shaking, we just want to get to that point of pleasant stretch. So this is a 2-phase band stretch, which is really good for lengthening the hamstring rather than the stretch that we do at the end of a workout that's just a sort of 20-second stretch of the hamstrings. This 2-phase stretch actually works on lengthening it rather than bring it back to the length that it was before we exercised. So it's a really good way of extending the length of those hamstrings, which again are tight because we spend all our time sitting here. One last thing, which is a different hip flexor stretch to the one that we've done previously. And for this, you need a wall. You're going to put one knee on the floor, like this, with your feet up approximately where the wall is, and then you pop your knee into the corner of the floor and the wall. So knees are hip width apart. One of the knees is in that corner of skirting board and wall with your toe pointing straight up the wall behind, and you're on the other knee here. Now in that position, you should be reasonably comfortable. What I want you to do is grab something with which you can push yourself into a more upright position. So it might be a small box, it might be the seat of a chair. If you've got a fit ball or a Swiss ball, you could use that to bring yourself up. I am using a roller to just push myself back, and what this does is it stretches right the way through the front of the quads and the hip flexors here, and just puts a little bit more pressure on than the stretch that we did on one knee and one foot last time. So if you were finding that your hip flexors were loosening by doing that stretch, this one will just push them a little bit further. And obviously we then do the other side. So give those stretches a go today and exercises a go today. See how they are, and obviously if any of them are a struggle, then it's worth repeating them and working on them a little bit to see if you can improve things. So yeah, let me know how you get on with those.